Chinese developer Game Science's upcoming game Black Myth Wukong has stormed to the top of the Steam wishlist chart despite IGN repeatedly accusing the developers of sexism and misogyny. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And according to SteamDB, you can see that Black Myth Wukong has been wishlisted 479,264 times and is the most wishlisted game ahead of Hollow Knight, Silksong, Frostpunk 2, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, and The First Descendant. It is at the top of the charts. And this is despite IGN's Rebecca Valentine and Ki Hoon Chan accusing the developer of sexism and misogyny. Back in November 2023, the duo wrote a report for IGN. And in that report, they said this: several posts have surfaced from Chinese social media site Weibo, written by individuals from the studio that contain multiple references to genitalia and sexual innuendos. They also said this was coupled by recruitment posters by the studio produced in 2015, which featured images and headlines that point to a culture of ingrained sexism in game science. The article provides no evidence of these headlines or posters. However, it does give descriptions. In one poster, a risque illustration that resembles the artwork of Austrian artist Egon Schiele is accompanied by a header that says mandatory self-pleasure. In another poster that featured the rear view of a woman, the ad reads, "Don't screw your colleagues." In the same ad, friends with benefits were also implied as an office perk. And a third poster featuring a dumbbell is far more pointed, with the ad stating that fatties should F off. So obviously unclear if those actually exist. And it's also unclear if those translations are proper, because there is some dispute as to the translations that IGN did to try and push this narrative that game science is sexist and misogynist. Because if we look at this here, they shared this social media post that Game Science co-founder Feng Ji posted to Chinese social media website Weibo. And they said, they translated it as this: I want to expand my circle and hire more people, get licked until I can't get an erection. It also alleges, he wrote, I know you just happen to be a little depressed. It is my honor to provide you with some comfort in the lower half of your body. This post that he is writing here is all in reaction to a 13-minute trailer that he released of the game some years ago. And then the report also says, I got wet after watching it a couple of times. The pressure in my crotch is immense. The report also took issue with the developer's co-founder and lead artist Yang Chi, declaring that men and women are biologically different. The report alleged that he wrote that men, quote, "We're holding a heavy machine gun and shooting at governments in your dreams. What the ladies are dreaming about are bags that would make their friends jealous." He then allegedly concluded the post by suggesting that he would need to put on silk stockings and suspenders to work, brew chrysanthemum tea, and put a humidifier on his table to make soft and effeminate things. Again, that's all according to a translation from IGN. Finally, the report also accused technical artist Dai Wei of claiming that players can masturbate to a female character in the game by looking at her more. Apparently, this character has like the body of a snake and the head of a woman. And Dai Mei allegedly responded to a commenter saying, although I'm not used to the snake neck, I can still nurture that fetish. Or it says here, look at it more. You can jerk off to it, although I'm not used to the snake neck yet, but this can still be nurtured. So even in their own screenshots, their translations are different than what they wrote in the actual article, right? As I said, these translations have been called into question. So I think it calls into the posters and the images. It calls into question everything. We have this clip here from Asmongold Clips. I'm not really sure if he was watching a video or something, but it was not Asmongold actually saying this. But there's someone commenting saying that Feng Ji's comments, the co-founder, are used. His comment is a used idiom in the Chinese language as a colloquial expression used humorously or sarcastically to describe a situation where excessive flattery or sycophancy has an overwhelming and paralyzing effect on someone. The use of such metaphors can be found in informal speech or on social media. The video also alleges that the other posts were translated, quote, in the most uncharitable way possible in order to push the narrative that the developer is sexist and misogynist. So if you're probably wondering why it took me a little bit longer to get this video out and do coverage of this game, it's because I couldn't really find good translations of what they actually wrote. Maybe that's just on me, and I wasn't able to do a good job of finding a good translation. It's also really hard to kind of even do a machine translation from a screenshot, given the fact that I don't really know what these letters are and I can't copy and paste them. But I still don't know what the translations are. Obviously, they are being disputed here by Asmongold. But I do think, like, even if they are being disputed, I find this language a little bit distasteful. I find it distasteful in English. I think we need to kind of move away from a lot of these lewd and crude comments, because I think it just kind of degenerates us in general. And I think we want to hold ourselves to a higher standard. But regardless, as far as whether they are sexist or misogynist, I don't think the fact that you make lewd or crude comments means that you are sexist or misogynist. I just think it reflects your character in a different way, that you are making lewd and crude jokes. And I get it. That is kind of what our society is embracing right now. But we need to stand firm against this stuff. So hopefully they do indeed become better people and maybe eschew that from how they speak and how they communicate with people. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking people to be a little bit better in that case, but I do think that these translations do call into question this narrative that IGN is running, that they are sexist and misogynist. I don't think we have clear evidence of that. It just looks like, to me, even with what IGN is showing here, it just looks like they're making lewd and crude jokes and references in Chinese rather than being sexist or misogynist. So we also had this here too. So IGN doubled down on it. Rebecca Valentine wrote a piece in the IGN's Black Myth Wukong First Impression article. And in that piece, she wrote this: last year, we published a comprehensive report on IGN detailing a number of sexist and inappropriate remarks made by multiple developers of Black Myth Wukong, including those in leadership roles at Game Science. As of the publication of this preview, Game Science has yet to provide any response or statement addressing our report or their past remarks. After detailing how she enjoyed the preview of the game at Summer Game Fest, she then added this: it is also true that several of the people who are making it have made disparaging remarks about women and don't seem to be interested in either retracting their past statements or in supporting the numerous women who are being harassed in online conversations about Black Myth Wukong purely for expressing their discomfort with those statements. Both of these ideas can exist simultaneously. What audiences want to do about this conflict is ultimately their choice. So the one thing I didn't point out in their initial coverage back in November is they have a bunch of quote unquote experts or anonymous individuals who are using pseudonyms, basically saying they were feeling uncomfortable, yada, yada, yada. It just kind of wasn't actually, like, I thought, appropriate to be including in the article. And it was more of they were just trying to use these people to try and paint the narrative rather than actually having any evidence that shows that the developers at Game Science were sexist or misogynist. You just had a bunch of anonymous people, don't even know who they are, and they're just being used to kind of paint the narrative that Rebecca Valentine and what's this other guy's name? Ku, I think his name's like Ku Chen or something like that. Let's get back up here and see. His name is Ki Hoon Chan, excuse me. Trying to paint the narrative that they were trying to create there. But anyways, she goes on and says this: one last note, I didn't see any women or femme-coded characters in the demo, and I was able to confirm from Game Science that there were none present in the section of the game presented to the press. Like, this is utterly ridiculous. Your initial 2023 report literally has the snake woman that you're accusing them of being sexist and misogynist of, and now you're trying to attack them because the demo doesn't have any female characters when you already know that there are female characters based on your previous report. This is how disingenuous these people are. Just ignoring their previous report to try and paint this narrative around these people. It's truly sick and twisted. She goes on, though, and says there will be women in the final game, but for now it is impossible to really comment on whether or not Game Science developers' expressed beliefs permeate Black Myth Wukong in a meaningful way. And again, I don't even know what their beliefs are. It looks like to me all of the evidence that Rebecca Valentine and her colleague at IGN presented was just them expressing some thoughts in a crude manner rather than having any kind of misogynist or sexist beliefs. So again, doesn't really add up to me. Translation has been called into question. The entire narrative is called into question. I think the statement here that she posts here is called into question because it's clearly that she's trying to say, like, oh, they don't even have any female characters in the game. Look how sexist and misogynist they must be. When in 2023, she literally admits that there is a female character with a snake body and a woman's head on it. And that was one of the how she was trying to attack the developers as being sexist and misogynist. But gamers clearly aren't buying into Valentine's story and narrative, as it does indeed sit at the top of the most wish-listed game list on Steam with almost 500,000 followers. So it's likely this game will be a massive, massive success. I will say the art style does indeed look really cool. I thought this screenshot here of this wolf creature looked really awesome, kind of leaping like almost into your face. Some of them are a little bit harder to tell here. Like, don't really know what is going on in this one, but the art in the background does look pretty cool. I like how the trees are kind of dead and dying, and you have like this kind of temple. I like the aesthetic. It does look like it has a pretty interesting aesthetic here, and just it looks pretty for sure. And then even here, the combat looks intriguing. And then I really like this one here. This guy's kind of just like drinking the potion. He's like, let's get it done here. I'm gonna go kill this thing. Like he's like drinking a beer, and he's gonna like drink the beer and then just throw it down and just like get it done. It's like another day on the job. So it does look like people are liking this game, and it looks like it is going to be a success when it comes out in August. But let me know what you guys make of this. What do you make of gamers rejecting this narrative that IGN is trying to push, that the developers of Black Myth Wukong are sexist and misogynist? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.